Hey guys, Sid from RXMuscle. Earlier today, Kai Greene put out a video which might be the most definitive hint that he might be returning to a bodybuilding stage, and at that, in the near future. He put out a video on his Instagram called From Pittsburgh to NYC, and during the course of the voiceover, he clearly states that he never actually retired. Now, Kai Greene coming back to a bodybuilding stage has been a topic of debate. It's been a topic of fun. It's been a topic of trolling. Kai has a affinity of leaving hints for the bodybuilding world and for us, of course, the media, to take and absolutely run with. Now, obviously, it hasn't become reality for him to step on a bodybuilding stage, but this just seems different. It feels different. What you're about to see is an interview that I did with Kai at the 2024 Dubai Muscle Show. This is about 3 weeks after the 2024 Olympia. And we talked about a lot of different topics. And with Kai, you know, it's not just bodybuilding. It's his acting. It's his roles in movies. It's his artistic projects. He even discussed a potential foray into the music world. And when you talk about Kai, you are talking about a man of different talents, a man who is a true creative. You've seen it in his posing routines on the bodybuilding stage, and now you've seen it, you know, in movies, in art, Comic-Con, comic books. So when it comes to Kai Greene, you are talking about a whole bundle of wax when it comes to his talents and where he applies those talents. But during the course of the interview, I did, of course, want to push the envelope, as far as whether or not, A, we would see him back on a bodybuilding stage, and if he wasn't prepared to go there, whether he still had the desire to one day step back on stage. So enjoy.
I created Species Nutrition with one mission in mind: to provide bodybuilders and serious athletes with no-nonsense supplements that work. I put my name and reputation on every bottle of Species Nutrition products. If you want to be your absolute best, join the evolution.
Oh my God.
Oh, we're gonna get there too.
Whoa.
We are gonna get there too.
Shots fired.
No. What I mean is, no. You see, I'm going with an angle here.
Oh, okay, I'm gonna follow you.
You still have such worldwide admiration. We see it in the United States. We see it here in Dubai. You look into the crowd. You have a sea of adoring fans here. You always have one of the longest, if not the longest lines here in Dubai. What can you say, first and foremost, about this adoring fan base that you really accumulated over the past decade, 15 years or so?
Oh, wow. Well, thank you for such a warm reception. This is awesome, man. Yeah, I have a lot to be thankful for. Yes, I'm going to talk into the microphone.
Just like this.
Yes, just like this. Hello. Thank you again for such a warm reception. Shout out to Core Champs. I'm really in a really good place, and I'm very thankful to be in such a place where we can still receive such a warm very warm reception. I have much reason to be very, very thankful. And I guess I'm excited to be here, and I'm looking forward to continue to share this meet and greet opportunity with everyone that comes over to the Core Champs booth. And yeah, I get a chance to be an ambassador of the sport and the industry in a way that to me is still very meaningful. And to get the support and that we've been privileged to receive by the fans and the supporters is just more than I can actually even say. It's truly an honor and a benefit.
Well, tell us first and foremost about the work you are doing with Core Champs. You're here at the Dubai Muscle Show with Core Champs. You want to tell the fans a little bit more about them?
Well, we're going to be here all day at the booth. We're going to be here for the next 2 days. We got off to a very interestingly delayed start, but we're very excited to be able to have the opportunity that we have to mix it up with each and everyone that comes by our booth. I am, again, very privileged to be here, and I don't want to take it for granted. I'm excited about it.
So last time we saw you, you're talking about art and your art endeavors. Now again, Kai Greene is a man of many talents. We know him as a bodybuilder. We know him as an actor, a Hollywood actor, Stranger Things, Bollywood movies, Comic-Con, comic books, obviously every pursuit you've had in comics. But art seems to, obviously has been a long time passion of yours. And last time we spoke, you talked about how you were thinking of an art gallery, but here in Dubai. Talk to us about these pursuits. You've always been such a creative soul, and this seems to be the latest chapter in that creativity.
Oh, so I've said that the artistic mind is something that I believe has always been present with me. And in fact, when I look back at my life, as far back as I care to look, wherever I look, I can see the creative mind, the artistic mind, just very present and alive. I believe that it was the thing that we can kind of see as the common thread woven through all the posing, all the development in physique, and even the way that I guess my spirit kind of makes sense of the way I express everything that I've been able to see that makes sense to me. So I had an opportunity to branch out, to continue my own artistic and creative journey. And I've seen it express itself in a bunch of new and interesting ways. One is with an art show that I expect to do with the Mondor Gallery here in Dubai. There's a bunch of things that I expect to be able to do that still are in the process of materializing. It's one of those things too where it's very, very funny, because I recognize that one of the things that is revealed to us through this experience that I kind of identify as like bodybuilding, the subculture, the lifestyle, or the experience, I believe at the root of it is this idea of self-mastery, self-development through self-mastery, and with saying that, I understand that technically your thoughts are powerful, and truly with your thinking, I really do believe that you're able to go a long way in shaping what becomes the picture of your life. And everywhere I choose to look in my own life and my own personal development, I continue to see this lesson, underscored and highlighted over and over again. So with saying that, the artistic journey that I believe myself to be on and in the process of experiencing and waiting to solidify, or working to solidify, is happening in these said ways. So yes, I'm expected to do a few art shows in the coming start of the new year. Working behind the scenes to do that, to see that actually flourish and materialize. There's just a number of other things technically too, as well as music, Spotify release.
Music?
Yeah, it's crazy.
Wait.
Yes.
Are we now branching into Kai Greene, the producer, Kai Greene, the singer? Where are we going with this musical pursuit?
Well, dare I say
And can we get some beats? Can we get some bars here? What are we singing?
Well, actually, there's a lot on the horizon, and with that, I think one of the things I would like to just bring it back to is the idea of, again, how powerful our thoughts are. You know, I think that I've been fortunate enough to have this lesson revealed to me through my experience as an athlete. You know, I think it was probably one of the best things that made sense to me in an effort to really understand with more clarity, you know, who I am. I was a person that technically, like a lot of people, would have heard other people tell you what you are and what you can do, you know. And unfortunately, there's some people that believe that they're only limited by their genetics. And I've learned that there are just limitless possibilities that we represent, should we choose to recognize that as our truth. And every time I found myself willing to listen to that idea and make that a truth that I'm willing to subscribe to, the more likely I have been to see my way over difficult challenges and into the opportunity of promise that I really do believe that we can allow ourselves to represent.
Let's talk a little bit in terms of how you've been able to create this vision in terms of bodybuilding that fans know you as. You know, we talk about presentation, we talk about creativity, we talk about posing, and we talk about mastery. Now, you've been able to package that together. Now, take me inside the mind of Kai Greene. During your years in your prime as a competitor, but then also in your guest posing, there was always a theme. There was always a new revelation of creativity that you brought to the stage each and every time. What went into every design? What went into every choreography to the point where you said to yourself, this is what I want to unleash here in this next presentation?
Well, you know what, I think everyone has an opportunity. Here's something that I've learned that I think is really important. You know, there's a lot of times we say we want something. And, well, I want to make $1 million, you know, or I want, you know, to drop 3 dress sizes, you know, and get ready for my wedding. I want. I've learned through the experience of my sport, in an effort to become more efficient, I guess, in the way of developing the success that means something to me, I've learned that when I say I want, technically what that means is I have to accept the responsibility of taking everything that is available to me to turn it into a resource to help me work towards attaining the things that I say that I want. So every breath that I take, every opportunity to see, you know, I have to use those things for the fruit, for the food, for the value, for the sweat equity, if need be, to go in the direction that I want most, to attain the things that I say that I want. And that's what it means when I say that I want. So when I want something, it means that whatever it takes for me to get to it, I'm not going to say that that is too much for me to bear, because that's what it means if I say that I want it, you know. So with that, I need to be willing to invest whatever resource, whatever tool, whatever opportunities are available to me. And that means that every situation that crosses my path, once I've said that I want the thing that I'm working for, then anything, good, bad, negative, indifferent, whatever those things are that cross my path, it's my job now to search them, to pick them up, flip them over, look them around, look around them, and find the silver lining that helps me get towards where I'm trying to go. If I've looked and I've searched each thing that crossed my path, right, and I don't find a way to get to the goal that I say that I want to get to, then it's my job to make one. To make the thing, the resource that I need it to be in order to get where I'm trying to go. So this is a revelation that kind of, you know, to some degree may sound crazy, but I don't think so. I think in my travels to this point, this truth has revealed itself to me that when I subscribe to it, when I humble myself before it, only then am I able to kind of do the work necessary to make anything, the good or the bad, whatever crosses my path, to become the resource that it can be to get to the desired end result.
Let's talk a little bit more about you now in terms of bodybuilding, in terms of training. You still train hard and heavy. You still, again, well, the content
That
speaks
depends.
for itself. No, again, it's the kind of thing where we talk about a bodybuilder, a bodybuilder influencer, which you very much still are. Because I think in this arena here at the Dubai Muscle Show or wherever you go in terms of bodybuilding, fans still recognize you as a hardcore bodybuilder. Someone who's still in the gym, getting it done. Kai Greene, Mr. Getting It Done.
K with the AKA.
But, again, you know, the other forums that you've entered now, be it art, be it music, be it comics, you know, fans still see you as a bodybuilder who has entered the world, a bodybuilder who has made it work in terms of bringing that creativity to enter into those forums, but has maintained the spirit of a bodybuilder. You know, what is your philosophy every time you go into the gym, even now at this day?
Well, you know, it's so funny. I think originally in the beginning of my journey with my approach to fitness and development as an athlete, I think anyone that helped me when I was still putting things together, especially like when I was a preteen and a teenager, I used to believe that their reason for helping me was because they believed in the preordemption that I would become, you know, this larger than life entity in my sport, you know, dare I say Mr. Olympia, you know. And what I learned was that technically that wasn't the case. You know, anyone that was willing to help me and that actually played some of the roles necessary to help me formulate some of the foundation that I, you know, kind of take for granted today. I realized that technically what they understood was something that I now know is the value of the experience in the first place. And that is that technically the ability to master, you know, your steps of development, you know, the quest to master your ability to control your situation, you know, development of your, so the development of your discipline based on your ability to desire so much the things that you believe you can attain, even when you are still underdeveloped in your ability to believe. I think work in itself is a demonstration of belief, you know, and there's a certain kind of audacity that comes with hope. And that is the example. I think that, so I think earlier on, people that helped me, you know, come into understanding of, well, I want to get in shape, I want to, you know, build more muscle, I want to build a bigger pair of arms, a bigger chest. I guess through that pursuit, I discovered that, you know, being able to control your thinking, you know, is the way that you control the hand that puts the food into your mouth, you know. So evidently, like the steps towards, you know, building a bigger bicep or a bigger pair of pecs, you know, is really the steps towards discovering the importance of self-mastery. And with that, the self-development process is at the root of this experience. With that, technically, not only would I be able to become a successful athlete at some point if I so desired to, but I really do believe that those influences earlier on just thought that, hey man, if this young man is able to develop at least his discipline, with that, you know, he may actually have a chance to save his own life. So, everything else about becoming a negative statistic and all those other problematic issues that we can talk about that can exist due to the absence of self-control or the development of self-control. Those things end. What's up, brothers? Respect. Yeah, so there's a lot going on, and it's crazy sometimes to make sense of all these thoughts in your head, particularly when you're in a place where you have a bright light and an awesome platform and a responsibility to speak I do try to think very deeply about what I say as I'm saying it, and if it does sound a little crazy,
not at all. Absolutely not at all. But you know, again, not to be lost in all that you've accomplished over the course of the last 15 years in all your different endeavors.
15 years? You make me sound like an old man. That's crazy.
My God. You don't look old at all, and that's kind of where I was talking about with the training. You look good. You look in shape.
You don't say that.
And that kind of makes me wonder if there is any unfinished bit. We'll get to that later. But, you know, again, the bodybuilding fan base here in Dubai, in the United States, around the world, we recognize your accomplishments as a bodybuilder. When you look back at your bodybuilding career, which may or may not be done just yet, you look at everything else that you've accomplished. Did you view bodybuilding almost as a means to the other ends that you've accomplished? Or do you always view bodybuilding sort of as its own independent goal of yours that you just had a passion for, just like you have a passion for art, for comics, and now for music?
You know, I think that yeah, there was a time when I still respect the sport, and I believe that the sport and the experience has played a tremendous role in what has helped me discover some of the universal truths that I think are very, very valuable in the course of a man's life, and his ability to discover what he is, you know, in an effort to be able to prove himself, you know, as the influential power that I think a person really needs to be first in their own life, you know. I think there's a lot of time that I could waste blaming situation and circumstances on others, you know. And I believe that what made my competitive bodybuilding experience so valuable, even to this stage in my life as an adult man, with a debt owed to the experience for at least teaching me this truth. You're the most influential person that you will ever know in your life. You know, more than the father that you know or don't know. You know, more than some of the other things outside. I think the most influential man that I've ever met and ever really had to come to terms with discovering and learning how to care about what he thinks and how to take care of him best was the man that I see in the mirror. You know. So with saying that, I'm very grateful to the experience that I call competitive bodybuilding, because I believe it was the tool necessary to be used in my own life to see how important and how valuable a resource I think you can be to yourself. You know, I believe what you think and what you would allow your thoughts to be influenced by will go a long way in shaping not only what you see, but how you see. And every effort to cultivate the right thinking resources, be it in yourself and the world around you, in an effort to become truly what you want. I think it's just available to you, and I always credit the sport and the experience for helping me learn that lesson.
So here's the part where I ask the question. The question.
The question.
To Kai
the drum roll.
Is there unfinished business? When you consider all the accolades in your bodybuilding career, the Olympia runner-up finishes, the Arnold Classic titles, you think to yourself, you haven't competed since the Arnold Classic, which you won. Is there room for another show? Is there room for a Kai Greene comeback?
Well, here's the thing. I think you always win. I really do believe that. There's not a... I think sometimes, if anybody has ever started training, you know, you start working out, and, you know, in the beginning, you might, with limited experience, you might measure your success by how much you can bench. If you talk to people outside, you know, when you just start working out and you're on your journey, you know, your fitness journey.
How much you bench, bro?
How much you bench? Yeah. How many push-ups can you do? You know, how much do you lift? You know,
do you even lift?
Yeah. Well, no. I mean, you know, when you first start.
Yeah. Those are the measurement for success.
Right. But here's the thing. You know, with a little bit more time, a little bit more effort, a little bit more years invested, at some point you get to a place where you understand that your ability to assess the process of your development becomes a lot more expansive than just those very limited, narrow ways of seeing it, you know. I once trained with this guy that was a world-class athlete. I remember I was probably like 17, 18 years old. And I remember I was like, at the time I was like 250, 265. It was the first time I could bench like 500 pounds. And I remember thinking, okay, I'm ready to train with this dude. He was a pro, and he was decorated. You know, he probably was not more than 5'5". He never competed at over 200 pounds. And he didn't bench on an incline anything more than like 185. You know, it was like something that I thought was very unimpressive. However, the way he did it was everything. You know, it was controlled. It was, you know, his chest stood up. Even though I was like 250, you know, 265, you know, I was probably, like I said, like around 17. This man was a mature bodybuilder, you know, and his muscles stood out prominently from underneath his skin. You know, it was awesome to see. And the way he trained was very, very different. In fact, in order to appreciate the way he trained, I couldn't judge by the same standards of assessment that we would use. Well, how much do you bench? This guy didn't bench over 200 pounds. You know, well, how much do you weigh? This guy wasn't over 200 pounds. However, the look and appearance of all this mature development, it really spoke volumes of, hey man, there's more you have to learn in order to be able to explain what it was that I was even looking at. And I say this to say that, yeah, you know, the idea of being able to say when it comes to competing, hey man, well, did you walk away with the first place trophy? If you didn't, then that means that, hey man, nah, you lost. It's crazy, because technically in this experience I've learned that in the beginning I started in a place where I didn't even understand who I was, didn't understand what I was, and didn't understand the influential control that I had over the ability to say what I will be and who I will be in my life. You know, technically I didn't know my father. I couldn't get a hug from my mama. There were so many issues that I could say would have made it that much more likely to become a negative statistic. But on the effort, on the road to becoming what I believed was top honors at the bodybuilding show, collecting trophy after trophy. They called me the Predator. You get what I'm saying? I actually became the very thing that was collecting trophies in an effort to identify to the world who I aspired to be. And what happened was, through that, I guess I ended up discovering what I am. A thinking sinner capable of creating the reality that I choose. Despite whatever disadvantage, if I say that I want it, I can work and create the means necessary to produce the desired end result. A thinking sinner capable of creating based on the use of his mind. I discovered that, man, this is even better than an X-Men superpower. This is the power that technically is the thing that we all aspire to really discover about ourselves. The capability to have an actual effect on the world around us and create for ourselves the world that we choose to have. I can be the man that I want to be and walk away from the possibility of becoming the negative statistic. I mean, the truth is, yeah. So the way that I judge, did you walk away with the first place trophy, but you did walk away with understanding more of what you are and your ability to create the realities that you want. You're able to work from where you are, starting whatever position you were in. And regardless of genetics and all these things that people may say you need to have, the genetics, the pedigree, you can create because you want to. you can find a way to search every situation and circumstance to produce the desired end result that you choose to. And if you've done those things on the way to arrive at this discovery of another trophy win, technically, can we say that you lost? No, I think you've gained everything, you know.
You are the living embodiment of thoughts become things. Absolutely. You manifested a reality, and in the process, you've inspired millions around the world. But, again, with this crowd, in this forum, bodybuilding fans around the world, there's always going to be that question. Does Kai Greene still have that burning desire to step on a stage one more time? Now, there is another avenue now, the Masters Olympia, and that is a connection that has been bandied about, possibly even rumored about. Obviously, look, you have everything that you have gained in bodybuilding, and there's every reason to be proud of what you've accomplished, not only as a bodybuilder, but as an icon, as a man, as a representative of the sport, as an ambassador of the sport. But, to answer the question that fans do have on their mind, do you still have that desire, or even that curiosity, to maybe one day once again step on stage?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I think every time you train, I mean, when you really train, you know, you have that good training session that's
and we see you train hard to this day. You put it all out there, ladies and gentlemen, right?
I think a part of being able to give yourself the license that is required to put your better foot forward, you know what I mean? That, you know, that moment when you're doing something that in order to do it, you have to be able to say to yourself, man, you know what, I want this. Because otherwise, the objections are too easy. Or the objections can make it too easy to just say, okay, well, yeah, you know what, I mean, how many times have you ever decided, hey, man, I'm gonna do 15 reps, and I have this resistance on the bar, and as I'm trying to contract my muscles against this resistance, rep 1 was okay, rep 2 was okay, but by rep 3 and 4, you know, it's a lot more intense. And by rep 4, 5, and 6, okay, you know, it's even more intense than that. And by the time you get to 7, 8, 9, and 10, you start to question whether or not you can do one more. And if the goal was 15 or 20, you know, long before we get to the 20, you know, you probably had at least 4 different occasions within that set where the likelihood of stopping just because of the level of difficulty was very, very likely and very, very high. I think there is the requirement of being able to be clear about what is important to you and why it's important to you that is necessary to make it possible to get beyond, you know, rep 8, 9, 10, and into what becomes, you know, 11, 12, 13, 14, and by the time you get to 15, either I'm going to own it or I'm not, you know? And I think that with saying this, there's the license that you have to give yourself that says, it matters to me, you know, I care. And I think to answer that question, I think that is where the ability to say that I care, that suddenly the other possibilities open up to you. Like, well, what would you do with this? Because you know if you care enough, well, why wouldn't you imagine, you know, looking at something that's a bigger goal than just, you know, settling for something that's, you know, so I think there's a boldness of hope, an audacity of hope that dares or forces you to think so boldly into the future. So with saying that, yeah, absolutely, I would, as long as I'm able to do that, I believe that the answer is always yes, you know. And I believe the ability to talk hopefully, to will yourself even through your training, I think, it starts with being able to say yes.
I want to ask you a question that I don't know if you've been asked before. You think about everything that you've been able to accomplish, be it bodybuilding, be it in art, be it in comics, and now obviously in your new forays in music. But when you look at the legions of fans that you've managed to inspire around the world, again, you see here in Dubai, the lines that you have, the adoring fans that you have, you know, there has to be a level of interaction that you've had with your fans. I want to know, from the beginning of your career to now, what are you most proud of in terms of the lives that you've impacted during this fitness journey?
You know, honestly, I learned okay, so check this out. This is funny because that's a loaded question, you know. And this is why I say this, because technically, you are a walking example of what you think. You know what I mean? So your success or failure, whatever it is, I believe that it belongs to the man or woman that's looking at themselves in the mirror, asking themselves, well, what's up? And we're saying that I have seen, or let me ask the question then. How many people out there right now has had a loved one that you saw them doing something that was really crazy, you didn't want them to do it, you saw them get hurt by doing it? Let's say they took drugs, the D word. And they're taking these drugs, and these drugs are just a terrible decision, and as a result, you see their life going down as a result of taking these drugs. So you tell them, hey man, you can't take those drugs, and you almost want to make the decision for them. I will stop you. But anytime you do anything like that, stopping them, taking the stuff out of their hand, trying to stop them from being able to have access to those things, you expose yourself to be a person that is technically wrong. And you can find things like the law and other things socially that will say, hey man, you're wrong for doing that. You should stop. I believe that I've had those experiences myself, where technically it's very, very clear that you can't use someone else's power for anything that you may think is the better good for them. So for me, what I believe that technically, I don't believe you can make those decisions for someone else. But what you can do, if you care, is you can be an example.
You can influence.
You can possibly positively influence, but it starts with you and it ends with what you do with you. You know, going forward to take credit for what other people do, whether you love them, whether you care, whether you encourage or not. The fact of the matter is, it's for them to do with their power what they choose to.
Right, but what I will say though, and again I say this to your credit, you have managed to positively carve a small niche into your followers' lives. So again, this speaks to the uniqueness of who you are. Because, you know, again, when I talk to my friends who have nothing to do with bodybuilding, know nothing about bodybuilding, they know who Kai Greene is. And there's a reason for that. Again, you have managed to impact lives in so many different forums, whether somebody's seen you in your acting roles, whether somebody associates you with your comic books, with Comic-Con or what have you. You found avenues to positively impact, and I think that is a very important thing. And I say that with all due respect to you, because I say to myself, the world needs more Kai Greenes. Bodybuilding, fitness enthusiasts, those who are looking to make their lives a better place, need more Kai Greenes in this world. So again, you have a message of positivity which started with yourself, but in the process, I think you force other people that same journey of introspection where they say to themselves, all right, this is what I want. What am I doing? What am I willing to do to get to that place? And I think that's a process that you have ignited in a lot of people.
Well, you know, I think that's what this platform, I think, is really all about. I think that even to have this opportunity to exchange as we are in the spotlight on this stage, I think the best benefit, I think, that this moment to have this microphone, the best benefit that I can speak to is that idea of increase based on recognizing the example that I would want to be responsible in this moment with the platform, with the spotlight. A lot of times people will think that, hey, if you're on the cover of the magazine, and that if you're, in the spotlight with that note of opportunity, that it's a time to talk about, I've won this many shows, and I aspire to win the next, and the next one, and the one after that.
They all have nice deep voices just like that. So they're on Bodybuilding FM.
Actually, you do have a beautiful voice. But with saying that, no diddy, Is it too
Way too soon.
Yes,
way too soon. Do people in Dubai even know the Diddy jokes, or is that only an American thing? Or we got a thumbs up. All right, here we go.
Wow. Now there's an influence there. How you like that? That said, I think that what happens is when you're in the spotlight with that opportunity, the last thing you need to do is to get lost in talking about those things as if that is the thing to represent. I think the larger opportunity there is to actually explore the idea of increase, and the increase, in an effort to speak responsibly to that idea of increase. I think it's important again to recognize that you are the example, and with that platform comes the opportunity to speak and to share at least that truth. There was a time when I was a prepubescent teenager looking at the aspiration to want to be in the cover of the magazines, or want to be in a situation where you could just make the world care. I think that's that thing. That's what happens. It's like, you're by yourself and you have all these things going on inside of you, and technically you really do want to matter. And then there's this ability to create something beautiful. And it's like you're looking for license to do it, and it's like, the truth is, it's almost as if you're a beautiful accident waiting to happen. You're just all this ability that's just like, looking for the opportunity to just explode, And it's like, man, I really do feel like that's where, I was able to start to find something to do that allowed me to channel that energy, and with that, embark on a path that would help me even discover more about who I am, and with that, the idea of thinking myself to imagine one day being capable of just building myself into something that could be successful enough to make the world turn around and say, hey, well, I recognize, I see you. You do matter, and I say this because there may be someone out there that, has started just like I did, a little kid doing push-ups, dealing with all these feelings and stuff, and this want to matter, and this interest in being able to find a way to express all these things that mean so much to you, but seem like it just doesn't matter to anyone else. And I questioned whether or not I could ever be one of those guys in the cover of the magazines. And I started working out, and I continued to work out. And the more I began to understand more of what it was that I wanted to do, just working in the direction to do it, everything that I needed to discover and to learn that would help me as some resource to become that, made itself available to me. And more importantly, as it did, I had to use it. You know what I mean? Like, but saying all of that, I questioned whether or not it could be done at all. And I continued to work. And then eventually you work, and eventually it starts to make its way clear to you. On the other side of that, we're on this platform and we have this opportunity to share, to engage, and to speak. And the idea of increase that we were talking about a little bit earlier, I think, is now revealed with this opportunity, because I questioned it. I questioned whether it was possible, and I worked. And now on the other side of 20 years or whatever, I now see that yes, it was possible. The proof is even having this opportunity now. I once did a search recently for like covers of there used to be this magazine that was like really popular. Remember Muscular Development?
Yes.
You may remember that.
I may remember that.
You may remember Muscular Development. But there were these top bodybuilding magazines that were the that was celebrated throughout our subculture, you know. And there was a time when, as a preteen, I questioned whether or not it was possible to ever matter in any meaningful way. And fast forward, I now know yes. And now when I have the platform, when I have the ability to share or engage like we are, you know, I think the idea of increase that I am responsible to share for the other young person or person, child at heart, wherever you are, wherever it is in your development of your life, you know, starts with the question. And if you are sitting there with the question of, is it possible? Shit, I'm looking at something that was impossible that became possible through being willing to do the work, you know. So if you too find yourself in a position where you find yourself with some things that are very important to you, and you still, like I did, question whether or not it's a possibility because the opportunity seems so large that we even question the possibility of it, you know, I think the increase that I am responsible for sharing with you with this platform today is that, yes, it is very possible. Even the impossible becomes possible when you're able to say yes and be willing to do the work.
You envisioned it, you questioned the possibility of it, you thought to yourself, what do I need to do? What's the work that I need to put in order to make this goal a reality, this vision a reality? And you made it a reality.
Absolutely.
One final thing.
Yes, sir.
We talked about music. We talked about comics. We talked about your acting endeavors. What's next?
So definitely we have more coming up with my art. We are releasing music on Spotify, which is going to be dope.
Right, tell us, hold on a second. Tell us more about the music. Are you singing? Are you producing? Are you dropping beats or are you dropping bars?
Yes, and yes. I'm not even pleading the fifth right now.
Can we get a sample?
Oh, okay. So, yeah, but it ain't gonna happen like the, oh wow, you gonna beatbox? Is that what it is? Is that what we're gonna do? I like that. Yes, we will do that, but probably not right this second. Me.
So you're singing. You're dropping some bars on us.
Oh yeah.
We're gonna hear the Kai vocals.
Oh yeah. Well, absolutely. We're gonna do it. We might not do it right this second.
There's gonna be a concert tour planned next.
Oh, you know what? Play that track. Wait, Minikai.
Hold on a second.
Minikai, where the track at?
This might get in the way of your prep for the Masters Olympia or any other show you may want to.
Oh.
You're gonna have a lot of conflicting things. You're gonna be a pop star. You're gonna be an artist. You're gonna be a comic book sensation. And somewhere in that, we're gonna fit Kai Greene back onto a bodybuilding stage. But I'm very interested in this music aspect.
Oh.
This is a bomb that you're dropping on us right now.
Really?
Which I don't know if anyone saw coming. We saw the creativity in your artwork.
Man.
We saw the creativity in your comic. We saw the creativity in his guest posing appearances and all of his onstage appearances. I don't know if anyone in the crowd or anyone watching this knew Kai Greene's got some vocals. Kai Greene's got some bars.
Well, you know,
what kind of a genre?
I don't want to turn around and try to be too boastful.
What kind of a genre are we talking here?
We talking, I mean...
Are we talking soul? Are we talking pop?
I write, yeah, I write, I sing. It's really about to go down. It just ain't gonna go down here right now. Yeah.
Who wants to hear some bars? Who wants to hear some bars out of Kai?
It'll happen. It'll happen. But we're gonna prepare to bring it when it's supposed to be brought. Right now, we just talking, and what I can say is my thoughts now are very powerful. You may not know something about me. I'm gonna share it with you now. My thoughts become things. So if I say it, believe me, I'm working behind the scenes and I'm putting it together. And real talk, when it's ready, you gonna see it. So stay tuned.
And with that, ladies and gentlemen, the multi-talented Kai the Predator Greene.
You know, like that Predator stuff, that was so crazy. That was actually Steve Bleckman. Steve Bleckman from Muscular Development Magazine.
He loved the nickname.
Yeah, you know what? He actually did me a tremendous honor and opportunity so many years ago with giving me a publishing contract, publishing deal with Muscular Development Magazine. It was the first time that I got a chance to, I'm gonna just share this with you real quick. I know it's kind of crazy, you know, already ended this thing and it's like, I got to go. But And the idea to talk about how thoughts become things. There was a season when I had worked really, really hard. I thought I was gonna do this damn thing, right? I was just be this professional bodybuilder that can be successful. I'm working at it, you know. But at the time, everything around me did not say that. You know what I mean? If you looked, my friends came to the competitions, and I was placing like dead last, 15, 20. It was like, it's crazy. I come to the show, I work real hard, diet hard, train harder, get to the end of the show, and I was lucky if I could do my posing routine.
So what was that aha moment for you, where it all clicked, where it all snapped?
So the aha moment.
Kai Greene, that elite bodybuilder.
Well, here's the thing. You will always destined to get an opportunity to share and show what you aspire to be. You know, because you're always a creator. Anytime you turn around and you work out and you think to yourself, like, you know what? This next rep is important to me. This next set is important to me. And because it's important to me, I'm gonna fight for it. I'm gonna do this thing. And even though at the end of that set, that exercise, that training session, you walk away and it can seem like, well, nothing really happened to people that are outside of you. They think, well, all right, you know, or maybe you. But for you, it's a stepping stone, you know. So anyway, I got to these competitions and I remember placing dead last. And I was so excited because I got a chance to do my posing routine. In my posing routine, I thought, yeah, man, this is it. This means that I got here, and not everybody got a chance to do their posing routine. But then even when I finished, I had people that walked up to me at the end of the show and they said, man, good luck, you know, next time, hopefully you'll do better. And it was like, wait, you don't understand, I did my posing routine, I knew I could. All right, so I gotta raise my idea. And I remember sitting down and writing out I had a little journal. I used to journal everything. I heard people talk about how important journaling was, and I would write out, hey man, so this is who I am, this is who I wanna be. You know, before I got a chance to really even be able to say how I believe with every ounce of my being, your thoughts are powerful, my thoughts become things. I remember writing it out in my book over and over again. I remember practice signing my autograph, signing over and over and over again. Today I will sign something and people will say, wow, Kai, that is a beautiful handwriting. And it's like, you don't understand. You have no idea. I am saying this because there was a time when I questioned, but I did it. That season, I wrote every day in my journal, listen man, at the close of this season, I will have one publishing contract with some magazine. It will be one of the big two. And there were two very big ones at the time. Well, you know, I ain't have to say it. You know who they were. And real talk, I believe that somewhere in the possibility of creation, there was an idea where I was the success that I really aspired to be. And what I had to do right now was focus on where I was and just do that work every day. I came up with 1,000 things that I needed to do. I started with 10. 10 things that I needed to do today that if I did today would help me get in the direction that I wanted to go. By the close of this season, what I wanted was one publishing deal with one of the big two. What I also wanted was a supplement contract. I wanted a deal. I want to be a pro bodybuilder, so I said. And the truth was, I believed that a pro bodybuilder that was able to pay his way in his life through doing what he did on stage, doing the thing that he loved every day, these are the things that I believed were important to me to establish by the close of this competitive season. So every day I worked, I started with 10 things. I came up with 1,000 things that I could do in the course of 2 days, and I write in my journal as I move closer each day to the completion of that season. At the close of that season, I had a publishing contract with Muscular Development Magazine, and the way they did it was crazy. I was in the middle of an interview with Flex Wheeler. This was a dude that I used to look up to. I had pictures of him on my wall and stuff. It was crazy. But now this guy was interviewing me. The same kid that was somewhere in the bottom of the gym, the bottom of the facility doing push-ups, wishing he could do something that makes the world care, who wanted to matter. Now, I had
a legend.
The legend. Yeah, Flex Wheeler himself doing an interview with me, and guess what happened? Right in the middle of the interview, Steve Blackman interrupts. It's even even today you can find it on
like somewhere on YouTube.
On YouTube, yeah. When Steve Blackman interrupted the interview, comes in and says, "Well, don't worry, Kai Greene, we're gonna get you a contract, and it's already gonna happen." I was now signed with MD, and I was competing at a show that I placed 6th in at that time. It was crazy, but it was the beginning. Somebody could have said at that time, well, you know what? Damn, Kyle, you played 6th at this show. Too bad you didn't win. If you knew what I was writing in my journal for that whole season, to be standing there the year, so I wrote this thing for the whole year before that. So when we get to that moment, I placed 6th in the show, but technically, what was revealed to me was the yes that I'd been working and praying for the last years of my life. It was crazy. Again, we talked about a little bit earlier about how, you know, sometimes you have to expand, you know, your vision or idea of what it means to win, you know, in order to understand the possibility of really what you have when
you
you've
also
won.
have to, in your words, execute and have an actual game plan. One that's actionable, because again, you're talking about placing where you were placing, and then from that to having a supplement contract, to having a publishing contract.
Crazy.
And you accredit a lot of that to journaling.
Yeah, well,
to writing down those goals, to writing down your progress.
I think journaling was a tool. It was a tool. It was one of those tools.
What was the big break? What was that big thing you could point to and say to yourself, this is where everything turned around. I got the supplement deal, I got the publishing deal, and then I was on my way to join that elite crust of bodybuilding.
I think the big break came when you said to yourself, this next rep matters to me. It may not mean anything to your boss that says, yo man, you late one more time. You might as well not even come in. It may not mean something to your supervisor that's like, hey look, you eat too much. Like, real talk, I don't, okay, you find a way.
What's with all that asparagus?
Yeah, well you smell, what's with all this food in your bag? This stuff stinks, you need to, and it's like, I'm tired of walking around with my bag smelling like eggs and you know, every time I go into the break room at my job, they complain about, you eating chicken again? And it's like, yeah, it's just chicken and broccoli. It's broccoli, it's steak. And it's like, okay. To answer your question, I think the breakthrough comes the first time you say to yourself, like for me, when I was like, yo man, this matters to me. It may not mean anything to anybody else in my house. It may not mean anything to anybody on my job. It may be something that looks like uncomfortable. It looks inconvenient. Oh, before you leave, you gotta pack up these bowls of chicken and fish, and you gotta put it in your Tupperware and keep it with you. It seems like every time I turn around, it's time for you to eat again. You know, there'll be people in your life that will complain. I'm just saying that for me, the breakthrough did not come when I got the contracts and stuff. The breakthrough came when I said, for me, that I'm gonna do this work because it matters to me. And it matters so much that I'm not gonna just say it and not support my thoughts and my effort with real action. You know, there's a saying that says, you know, faith without work is dead. You know, just understanding that there's a certain amount of effort that when you do it, it becomes the testimony of your belief. You know, it's not enough to just say, well, yeah, this is what I want to do this. Well, that means if I say it with my mouth, I got to be willing to do 30,000 things in the course of a day and not feel like this work is in vain or it's inconvenient, or I got to wait till somebody says, hey man, you've won this competition, now you should go and have license to do the work that you need. No, I needed to be willing to give everything long before they would ever think to sign me. You know, and I think that willingness to testify and your willingness to believe, I think that's the thing that becomes the example, and that becomes the sacrifice. That isn't a sacrifice, and it can't be thought of as a sacrifice. I'm doing this work because it matters to me, and as a result, yeah, man, the opportunities come, but they come because it mattered to you to do the work, and that because you did the work, guess what? It wasn't work at all. It was just something that was a natural expression of what I needed to do because it mattered to me.